You might think that your bedazzling game is pretty good, but is it bedazzling a $500,000 hypercar good? While us mere mortals are using our social media to take pictures of our pets and tricking people into looking at our vacation slides, there are others out there turning their Insta stories into big money, and they're making big money moves while they're at it. That's the case with Daria Radionova, Instagram model and fashion store owner. While she got rich the old-fashioned way, being born to a rich family, since 2013, she's turned her lavish lifestyle into 627,000 followers and a $50 million net worth. That has allowed the fashionista to obtain her dream car, the Lamborghini Aventador. Lamborghini's 762 horsepower flagship model sells for around $500,000, depending on how fancy you want it, and Radionova wanted hers extra fancy. To start with, she checked the factory box for Rosa Bia, which is a deep cherry red, like a proper Italian sports car. That kind of thing might fly at Cars and Coffee, but when your brand is lifestyle posting, you have to step your game up. So in 2018, she announced that it was out with the red, opting for a more attention-grabbing exterior. With the help of people at Cars and Cloaks, the mid-engine, all-wheel drive hypercar lost its protective coating in lieu of a black wrap. Then, over 2 million Swarovski crystals were glued into place by hand, in a process that took a tedious 4 months of exacting work that left the folks at Cars and Cloaks almost abandoning the project more than once. Swarovski crystals are world-renowned for their unique chemical formula and precision cuts. No price was given for the overall project, but an individual Swarovski crystal can run as much as $125. So, if you do the math, assuming no bulk discount and not counting the 700 hours of labor that went into applying the crystals, that's times 2, carry the 1, $250 million in crystals alone. Keep this thing away from opera singers. One bad note and this thing's gonna be in pieces on the ground. The crystallized Italian exotic of the Moldovan model with wealthy Russian parents made its debut in proper Instagram influencer fashion by posting herself driving around Radionova's home of London, England during the lockdown, also showing off the empty streets save for her bedazzled hypercar. Though English tabloids did point out that she was using her phone while driving, a bit of a no-no. Her Instagram posts heaped praise on the Cars and Cloaks craftspeople, saying that she loved it, while 2 million hand-applied high-end crystals glued to a black wrap work at cross purposes with the Aventador's exotic lightweight material used to maximize that all-important horsepower-to-weight ratio. That doesn't mean the sparkly bull lives its life as a garage queen. By all accounts, she uses the bedazzled beast as a bit of a daily driver, when she's not being driven around in a chauffeured Rolls Royce, that is. Perhaps she should have talked to comedian Jerry Seinfeld about the perils of taking your nearly irreplaceable exotic into the wild. Seinfeld's rare 1973 Porsche Carrera RS was struck by a BMW driver, failing at parallel parking while the comedian watched. Similarly, last November the Aventador was in a parking lot, but apparently still not flashy enough for the driver of a blue Vauxhall, because the rear end of the car took a severe blow. She did post a reward for anyone who could give her information on the details of who was behind the wheel of the Vauxhall, but nothing at the moment has come of it. Radionova started her Instagram account in 2013 while a student in London. She has quickly built a fan base and moved on to her own fashion store. Though, how she managed to turn all of that into the kind of money that has her covering an Italian exotic and designer crystals has given her an air of mystery, with some of her calling her a cross between Paris Hilton and James Bond. Maybe the crystal's secret is that they deflect hidden lasers of the Bond-style supervillain she fights while hiding in plain sight. Alternatively, coming from wealthy Russian parents, it's easy for a lot of money to become a whole lot of money. Wherever the money comes from, it has allowed her to get in on bringing up already expensive rides early on. In 2014, she made a splash by taking her 2011 Mercedes-Benz CLS 350 and covering it in Swarovski crystals. This time, a more modest $1 million, done by what she called her fly team in Russia. While at $75,000 new, the CLS isn't the priciest of the Mercedes models, and for this one, she was the car's third owner. So it was a modest start to her making her car sparkle. The car drew enough attention, though, to bring her to the social media's front page, setting the stage for her new life as an Insta star and influencer. $32,000 worth of crystals were inlaid on the Benz, with another $24,000 going to the poor craftspeople who had to install each crystal by hand. It also wasn't something she lived with for very long. A month after giving it a paparazzi-worthy debut, the car appeared on eBay, where the ownership history was revealed. The car wasn't able to reach its reserve, however, something that the model blamed on the Daily Mail, undervaluing the car when it was revealed. In September of 2016, the car finally went to its fourth owner. Radio Nova wasn't left walking, however. Her BA11BYY license plate moved to her new ride, a Bentley Continental GT. The GT was the Volkswagen Auto Group's first contribution to the storied brand since acquiring it in 1998. The massive Grand Tourer had VW's W12 engine, a layout that is like two V6 engines next to each other, forming a W pattern. The engine's big brother, the W16, propels stablemate Bugatti supercars as fast as 300 miles per hour. The twin-turbo W12 in the Bentley is good for 552 horsepower, giving the luxury coupe a fair bit of hustle. By comparison to Radio Nova's other rides, the crystallization was relatively modest, just covering the trunk lid, top, and front hood. Still just 25 years old, Radio Nova had not spent her childhood dreaming of having a luxury coupe, no matter how much was dedicated to giving it oomph. Her dreams, like many other young kids tearing pages out of car magazines, was for the charging bull, Lamborghini. So soon, her BA11BYY license plate found its way onto the baby Lambo, the Huracan. Replacing the Gallardo, the Huracan sits below the flagship Aventador, sharing parts with stablemate Audi, as Lamborghini is another badge that falls under the umbrella of the Volkswagen Auto Group. But baby is a relative term here. The Audi Source V10 spits out 602 horsepower and will send its occupants down the road at a brisk 200 miles an hour, so long as you have the $200,000 asking price. The little red supercar didn't just inherit the license plate, but naturally the obsession with crystallization. This time, Vincere handled the crystal application, with a month of work dedicated to placing 1.2 million Swarovski crystals on the red exotic. With this progression, you might expect the Aventador to be the final perfect expression of crystal and automobile, but she has her eyes on the Volkswagen Auto Group's triple crown of high-end acquisitions, with plans to crystal up a $1.3 million Bugatti. While Radio Nova has made covering luxury automobiles in Swarovski crystals her signature move, she's hardly the first one to think of covering their car in the shiny stuff. Her instant Insta fame for crystallizing could be considered entry-level in the world of encrusting cars. For pro-level shiny, you'd have to look to Saudi Prince Amir Al-Walid bin Talal bin Abdulaziz. Say that 3 times fast. The Prince sidestepped crystal and went straight for diamonds, covering an SL600 in the precious rocks. 300,000 diamonds were used, undermining the SL-ness of the car a bit. SL stands for Super Light, a designation for Mercedes sports offerings. But what it loses in lightness, it makes up for in mind-boggling value. Outside rare and pedigreed cars in Mercedes history, like Sterling Moss's Mille Miglia winning SLR, the Prince's diamond-encrusted convertible is among the most expensive Mercedes at $4.8 million. But the best part is, he has 2 of them. One is white and the other is gold. That's the kind of thing you can do when you're one of the 10 richest people in the world. In 2017, Forbes put him at 7th with a net worth of just shy of $40 billion. Yes, that's billion with a B. For him, $10 million in a diamond-encrusted Mercedes is just a drop in the bucket and part of his 50-car collection. We say one of the most expensive Mercedes because $4.8 million has nothing on Swiss enthusiast Oily Unleaker's tricked-out Mercedes McLaren SLR from 2011. The SLR starts expensive. The hypercar was made to celebrate the successful partnership between McLaren and Mercedes in Formula 1, before Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton made Mercedes a solo act and started collecting championships like they were Pokemon. Just to drive it off the lot would have cost you $500,000. But Unleaker isn't a half kind of guy apparently. For paint, he went with 25 layers of red with gold flakes, adding 5 kilograms on the scale for the car. Gold flecking in a vehicle that's more paint than car now is only the beginning. The wheels are covered in 24 karat gold as well. Same goes for the headlights and door sills. The upholstery is gold leather, just in case there wasn't enough gold to go around. Opening the doors reveals rubies that line the A-pillars as well as the dash. Even the LED indicator lights inside the car have been given a ruby covering. The lug nuts holding those golden wheels to the car also get rubies. A total of 600 rubies find their way on or in the car. A custom body kit replaces the front fascia, side skirts, and wing, that's dramatic enough to make a street mod from the Fast and Furious crowd blush. Lest the weight of all these precious metals weighing down the car too much, Unleaker has thrown money at the already substantial AMG engine, boosting output to 999 horsepower. That output is put up front in the car's name, the Mercedes-Benz McLaren SLR 999 Red Gold Dream. In total, 30,000 man-hours of work and $6 million went into creating this monument to excess and full frontal challenge to good taste, and in 2011 was able to command an $11 million asking price, enough to soothe any concerns you might have from the automotive world's less enthusiastic embrace of the custom automobile. Covering fancy cars, the Swarovski crystals seems to have caught on for those with extra dough and an extra need to sparkle. The Four Seasons Hotel in Munich had a 1962 Rolls-Royce covered in over 1 million examples of valuable crystals. That is, before they auctioned it off for an unknown sum to benefit Help in Motion, which provides drug addiction services. In 2011, the Qingdao International Auto Show featured the Diamond Cadillac, covered in 350,000 Swarovski crystals that were applied by 9 people over the course of a week. The fixer that was used was billed as strong enough to survive a modern car wash. You know, just in case you wanted to take your crystal-covered Cadillac CTS through a drive-through car wash at a gas station. You have to admit, it'd be a big flex to treat your crystal-layered car like it's the paint that came from the factory. A stupid flex, but a big flex nonetheless. Russian tuner Champa took his Audi A5 a step up a notch, adding 450,000 crystals into a leopard pattern, totaling $215,000. Okay, so let's say you necessarily don't want to live the crystal-covered car lifestyle, but you do really want to step your game up when it comes to hallmark events in your life with crystal-crusted opulence. Well, you could do what Isha Sana Akhtar's uncle did for the 16-year-old's prom. Rent a Rolls-Royce slathered in Swarovski crystals. Located in Manchester in the UK, the car can be rented from PopTop for $625 for every 15 minutes. Ha, you better make them count. The company that dazzled this Rolls, Bensiri UK, knew a thing or two about putting precious crystals on precious cars. They were the same outfit that decorated Radio Nova's Huracan. While jeweling up a Lamborghini might seem like the craziest thing you can do to a car that comes from the factory pretty crazy to begin with, Shinichi Morihoshi, a fighting star in Tokyo, would like to challenge that idea. The shop specializes in making the already crazy Lamborghini even crazier. The Japanese Lambo Club takes pride in dressing up their Lamborghinis in elaborate decorations and loud exhaust pipes. Morihoshi is fond of using LEDs for flashing lights, but his favorite creation is a Murcielago. He commissioned a tattoo artist to decorate it with a dragon, that he then highlighted with what else? Swarovski crystals. His cars are so noteworthy that he appeared in the 2015 Need for Speed game as one of the challengers. Morihoshi fell in love with Lamborghinis for their iconic scissor doors, which were created to counter the Countach's poor rear visibility. The door allows the driver to lean out and look behind them. His favorite Lambo is the Countach's replacement, the Diablo, partially because the name means devil. Lamborghinis traditionally get their names from notorious fighting bulls. Crystals aren't the only extravagant thing you can lather up on an already exclusive Lamborghini. Kim Kardashian gave her substantial Instagram followers a look at her own custom-appointed Lamborghini Urus. The $220,000 SUV from the Italian supercar badge had everything that wasn't glass covered in the fabric used for her clothing line Skims. This elaborate custom job was created to introduce a new line of clothes from the fashion brand. If nothing else, Kim Kardashian knows how to make an entrance. With this level of bling, it might start to seem like the best way to up the value of the Raging Bull Lamborghinis is to whip out your industrial strength bedazzler. But the exclusive automaker knows a thing or two about making cars that can demand a lot of money without a single crystal in sight. For instance, there's the Veneno. The Veneno is a part of Lamborghini's recent batch of extremely limited run cars, where the Huracan is pulling from an Audi parts bin and using modern manufacturing techniques, making as many as people are willing to demand. Vehicles like the Veneno are made in single digits. In this case, 9. Of those 9, only one of them was offered as a roadster. The special edition was created to celebrate the Charging Bull's 50th anniversary, making it one of the most successful beasts with Ferrari in the world. The storied brand began when tractor manufacturer Lamborghini was treated rudely by Enzo Ferrari when trying to register a complaint about the fragile and touchy nature of the Ferrari road cars. Enzo notoriously did not care much about the Ferraris with license plates, using the commercial end of Ferrari to fund his racing endeavors. Starting with an Aventador, modifying the airflow both into and out of the engine compartment lifted the V12 to 740 horsepower. The rest of the body was meant to invoke a Le Mans-style prototype race car down to the dorsal fin that attaches to the rear wing. That is common on the modern prototype racers. When new, it would take $4 million to take one of the cars home, which at the time made it one of the most expensive cars in the world. At a Geneva auction of 25 different supercars, the only roadster example of the Veneno hammered away without a reserve of $8.27 million, well above the lowball estimate of $2 million. Never underestimate the buying power of Lamborghini Gotta Have It fans. The supercars had a notorious pedigree. They were the cars of Teodoro Nguema Mbasogo, vice president of Equatorial Guinea, who had been indicted on corruption charges. The Swiss court eventually dropped the charges, but confiscated the cars. Probably the best advantage of a bedazzled supercar is the disco ball effect you get from drivers getting behind you wanting to shine their brights. Hit a bump in just the right way and they might get their brightness focused right back at them.